Don't go for a cheap Chinese if you're doing this car. I would say go for something like an Alpine, a JVC, Kenwood, somebody like that. Okay guys, some serious lessons learned. First of all, the 10.1 screen going into this car is firstly a nightmare, absolute nightmare. Second of all, the fact that the screen is a 10.1 means, I don't know if you can tell here that there's it's on a hinge. It's not actually part of the front fascia. It sticks off the front. That means you have to put this fascia panel on and your brackets on before you put the radio in the vehicle. Because this fascia panel's on, you can't put these two top screws in. So if you're going to do this, guys, don't get the screen that hangs off the front. Get the one that's embedded into the actual unit itself, or one that's a flip up. This means that now when I put this in, it's only going to be fitted with two screws. It's a pain in the backside to get in place, but once it's in, it should be okay. It should still be quite stable and it should still hold with just the two screws. It just means the top of it isn't going to be entirely pushed in. Now this, it looks a bit crazy anyway, to be honest. I think this screen is a bit big for this car. So don't go for the 10.1. I'm going to link you guys to a smaller screened option, which is going to be relatively straightforward to install. Saying that, the cheap Chinese units appear not to be to the double DIN standard. Now, DIN is the size of a radio. It's a standard size, and a double DIN is obviously two of those. So you've got single DIN and double DIN, or two DIN. The DIN standard is a set size, and they haven't followed it. A lot of the Chinese manufacturers, apparently, doing a quick Google research while I was out there then, cutting this up, they don't do them to DIN standards. That's really, really awkward, and it leads me to suggest that if you're doing this in this car specifically, so I don't know about other cars, you may just be able to put them in and be okay, but in this car specifically, if you do that, you need to cut up the two left sides and the bottom side of the plastic fascia. This plastic fascia here, you have to cut them off. It's messy, it's not nice, it's not tidy. My suggestion is don't go for a cheap Chinese if you're doing this car. I would say go for something like an Alpine, a JVC, Kenwood, somebody like that. Go for one of the bigger brands, because they will definitely go into a double DIN fascia, and you'll be able to put the fascia in afterwards, because I don't think any of the big manufacturers do this with the screen that hangs off the front. So yeah, my suggestion definitely is do not do this. Don't do this install. It's a crazy install, unless you're willing to, like me, cut a load of stuff up. You're willing to modify things and not be worried about the cost according to that. Now, I didn't pay for these were sent to me by the manufacturers. So this unit here, had I bought it, would be £249, and this fascia, you can get them for about 40, you can get them for about 80. The 80 quid ones come, £80 ones come with a couple of extra cables and stuff. Basically they come with the cable that I added in the back to give me the two standard ISO fittings. It isn't worth the extra. I think that cable, I did pay for that. That cable cost me somewhere in the region of about £4 on eBay. So not worth paying 80 quid for the fascia. So yeah, get the fascias, they're about 40 quid. If you're happy to cut things up like I am, you're happy to put it in with two screws only, which I am, to be honest, because I think it will hold. These two screws here are going to hold the whole thing in place, but then you're going to have the fascia and these two screws holding the fascia, so I think it'll be okay. We'll put it in, we'll see. If the worst comes to the worst and it doesn't fit, then this will have to be changed out for a different unit, and I'll have to get a new fascia as well, because I've cut this one up now. quite significantly. And what I've done is I've cut the sides out and I've cut the bottom out. I'll take it off in a second and show you actually what I've done. It's a bodge, but it's the only way to put something this big in this car by the looks of it. You're not going to get a 10.1 screen in here unless you do this, because the only people I know who are doing a 10.1 inch screen are the Chinese manufacturers. This has come from Shenzhen. The manufacturer of this, who the name passes me, there'll be a link below to the manufacturer. The manufacturer of this, I don't believe does this model to the UK anymore, which is weird as to why they sent me this one when I asked for it, because it's available on eBay and I asked them for one for the channel. They sent it me, but they don't sell them anymore. It's weird. Anyway, what I've done here is I've cut out these three. So what used to happen was this had an angle inward and then back, so it did this, and at the bottom it did the same. I've cut past the parting lines to open the space up and pull the space down. It's worked, it's okay, but it's not pretty. It isn't the tidiest of finishes. I'm sure I'm going to be able to do something with it, but it's behind this screen, so I'm not that bothered, to be honest. It is behind the screen and hidden. If this was going to be a non-big screen fronted unit, then this would have to be done in a much neater way, and I'm not sure how you could do that, to be honest, because it's awkward. I used a Dremel. There may be some other option, but there's supports at the back here that had to be cut out, and at the bottom it's a bodge. I'll be honest, it's a bodge. I am looking at wrapping this whole dash anyway, so I'm not bothered, because I'm going to be wrapping it at some stage or painting it to match the colour of the car when I do the car's wrap, or to do something that highlights that sort of the car's feel. So there's going to be vinyl or paint on this. There's going to be something happening to it, so I'm not bothered about the edges not being too neat, because I can smooth them off, I can tidy them up before I paint, and then it's going to look a lot better. But that is fundamentally how it fits. And then this radio should slide straight in. But like I say, the brackets mean that we're not going to be able to do that. We're going to have to put the brackets and the fascia on the radio. That radio was upside down, but we're going to have to put the brackets and the fascia on the radio before we put it in, which means these two top screws won't go in. All the cabling is going to be really awkward, so we may be fast forwarding in a minute, because basically, guys, I'm not advising any of you out there do this install. It is ridiculous. So if you're willing to bodge and patch and play around like I am, crack on, have a go. But I'm not advising it, because it's not a straightforward DIY install. This is a definite needs modifications, needs to be played with, needs to be messed about with install. You're gonna have to cut stuff up, you're gonna have to hack it around. I don't mind, like I say, I'm happy to do that. I've done stuff like this most of my life from being a teenager. I've always hacked things up and cut stuff up. I've done a shed ton of audio installs as well. I've done loads of audio installs, so I'm sort of used to doing stuff like this and playing around and making them work. I'm a bit of an audio geek. If I could have afforded to buy, I'm not entirely sure I would have gone with a Chinese Android head unit, I'll be honest. After playing with it, it's okay, it's nice, it does the job, sounds great, because I've powered this up before we did the install for you guys. I did actually power this up, and it's great. It's a great little unit, but if I was buying for the money at £250, I would actually be buying something more branded. So I'd be looking at something like an Alpine unit that's more of a straightforward install as well. So going to fast forward in a minute, guys. I'm just going to get this bracket on. I will fast forward everything. You're going to get to the end of the install, and we're going to play with the unit probably on another video and let you see it actually up and running. I will do a bit of a review on the unit anyway, because like I say, it's not a bad unit. It's just not something I would have purchased had I been spending the money. So we'll get this in, we'll get you guys up to spec, and let you all see what's going on with it. Whoops. When I'm done, we'll get it all connected, get the GPS in there, get you guys a view of what it looks like when it's all in the dash and done. See you in a minute. Okay guys, here we are. We've actually done the install. Somehow, sorry for the noise, I've just got the engine running for a minute. Somehow I managed to get it all back in place. The problem I had with the two side pieces is this screen being so large, it actually protrudes past where these two pods go, this cover and this pod here. So I don't think I'm ever going to be taking this back out again, to be honest, not even to do any custom stuff on the far side, because I was going to put a screen in here, I was going to do some games console stuff, and then I was going to paint or wrap all these plastics. To be honest, this is a nightmare to get in and out of. The good news is everything's up and running. So that's all from me today. Hope you enjoyed the install. Like I say, it's not something I'm going to suggest anybody does. Do not bother. It's too much hassle. I don't mind cutting stuff up, but you know, it's your choice at the end of the day. It's your car. Do as you wish. I now have the old radio and fascia and everything still sat out, so at any point I can whip this out and put the old stuff back in. Nobody'd know any different. So it's all able to be put back to standard. But install's in. It'll do the job for what we need. And hopefully you guys are going to get to see more of it soon. Peace out, mad life, live it large.